Welcome to Unboxed. I'm your host, Connie Nam, the founder of Astrid and Miyu. In these conversations, I speak to the founders of some of the most innovative, bold, and exciting businesses to discover the person behind the brand and what it took for them to build their empires. Hey guys, welcome to Unboxed once again. I'm Connie Nam, your host and founder of Astrid and Miyu. Today, I have with me founder of Abbie Wines and Roden Studios, Abbie Roden Sandbach. If you're someone full of ideas and you can't contain them all, Abbie shows how you can do them all.
I applied to like 65 internships.
Oh, wow.
And one person replied to me. We sold out of 3,000 bottles in 6 weeks. Most people in my life I've met through networking, even my husband.
So Abbie, nice to have you here.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Yeah, me too. So you're American and you
I
lived
am.
in Australia and you moved to the UK. Tell me all about your journey.
Yes, so I am from Kentucky. You probably haven't been there, have you?
No, I haven't.
Nope.
Sorry.
Didn't think so. I am from Kentucky and I grew up there and went to college there. I went to University of Kentucky. And my junior year of college, I interned in New York. So that was like my first time going to a big city. I interned at Shape magazine. It's like a fitness magazine.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
And I was on the photo team there, so the photo intern, and that was really cool. I loved it. It was
Did
like
you
the best
study
summer.
photography?
This is the thing. I was always creative. I always loved photography, but University of Kentucky is like a big state school. It's not like an art school. So I kind of struggled with what I should major in, and my college counselor was like, okay, you kind of have to pick now, like what your major is. And she was like, maybe you should do marketing because you can still be creative, but you can kind of like learn, business as well, and that could be really good for you. And then you can minor in art studio with this emphasis on photography. So that's what I did.
Wow, so you're really utilizing all of your major.
Yeah, it's cool. I
That's
think
amazing.
that was like really good advice. I can't remember her name, which makes me sad because I wish I could like reach out to her and say thanks so much for that. So I majored in marketing and minored in photography. Yeah, so I didn't really know like what that meant or what I wanted to do. I just knew I wanted to do something creative. So I did that photo internship at Shape and then went back, finished my senior year, finished college, and then I did a gap year and went traveling, which is the best thing ever. A lot of Americans don't do gap years. It's so much
No,
more
I
a
don't think
thing.
so.
Yeah, other places like I feel like it's so normal, but at home people were really confused by what we were doing going off traveling. And we ended up in Sydney and just working like, different kinds of jobs. We worked for caterers, we worked for bars.
When you say we, is it you
Oh, sorry,
and your husband?
my best friends.
Yes.
So Mallory and Molly, the three of us, we like set off with no
That
idea
sounds
what
so
we were doing.
fun.
It was the best thing ever. It was so fun. So free and just like amazing. So then we got to Sydney and we worked, random kind of bar jobs, and Molly was working at a hotel. Mallory was potting plants for someone, like really kind of like everything, anything we could get our hands on. And finally, I landed a job at a social media agency in Sydney called Switched On Media. It's still around. And I got a part-time role doing social.
What a great name, Switched On.
I know, it's cool. So I felt really lucky to get kind of like quote unquote a real job, I guess. And I learned so much there at that job. And then ended up going back to the US after a couple months. I didn't stay in Sydney that long. And moved to New York. My old boss from Shape had a role open at Men's Fitness magazine. She was now the photo director at Men's Fitness. So moved up to New York and took that job, which was amazing. And I worked there for about a year, and it was great. I was on the photo team. I was a photo researcher, so like finding the imagery for all the stories. But I really missed the marketing and the ideas and like everything that I was doing like when I was working in social.
Yeah, and social is a combination of everything, right? It's marketing, it's business,
Yeah.
it's sales, it's customer services, and it's photography and creative.
Yeah, it was like such a mix of all of that. And I loved Jane, who was my boss. Like she still to this day is like one of my favorite people, and she helped me so much, I think, in my career. By the way, the internship, I applied to like 65 internships.
Oh, wow.
And one person replied to me, Jane, and she was like, your resume says you're a marketing major. This is a photo role. And I was like, yeah, but here's my little blog. And like, I was like, I really, really want this internship. And she hired me. So she like gave me a chance, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It
You
was
applied to
cool.
65 roles.
Well, I didn't know anybody. I mean, I'm from Kentucky. I'm from a pretty small town. Like, I didn't have any connections in New York. I knew no one. She is the one who gave me a chance, which is really cool. So anyways, I was working with her for like a year and I loved it. I loved her. And the team was really fun too, but I just felt like I wanted to do a bit more in marketing. So I started kind of thinking about that. And do you know the brand Fry, the Americana boot brand?
No, I don't.
They're like a 165-year-old boot brand in the US, second oldest brand behind Levi's.
Oh.
I saw that their like social wasn't very good for how cool the brand was. And I was like, maybe they need some help. So I'll just see if we can take some content for them. And they like crazily said yes. So we went out there and shot some content on this road trip in New Mexico. And that's kind of how like I ended up getting the job.
Wow, that's incredible.
Which is cool. Yeah, it was
Did
fun.
you reach out to multiples of brands at that time?
Well, I had been applying for jobs as well. But I think the Fry role was maybe posted and I had an interview and like they just weren't really coming back. And it was just like, okay, well, I really want this job. So maybe I'll just pitch this project to them and see if they'll let us do it.
What gave you the confidence or like the guts to do that?
I think I was confident that I knew I could make their social better. I don't know. I felt because the brand is such a cool brand, their Instagram didn't really show that. I just was like, let's just try it. And also we made it a giveaway. So they'd never done like any kind of engagement driving activity on their Instagram before. And the giveaway did so well.
Yeah,
and
it's
really
great.
happy.
You had this idea and vision and you kind of acted on it. Because it could have been daunting, right? You were like very young. You kind of like didn't have much experience.
Yeah, but I also knew that they didn't have a person dedicated to social.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, there's no point in, like, they probably need help because they don't have anyone doing it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was kind of how I landed the job at Fry. And then I built Fry's, all of their influencer marketing program, their social. I was like the photographer for a lot of their campaigns, and kind of like worked there for 7 years total.
Oh, wow.
It was probably 3.5, 4 years in-house in New York City. And then when I moved to
you built
London,
out their whole like social media and, like influencer.
which was cool. It was so fun.
Yeah.
They opened, I think, 10 stores in 10 different cities while I was working there. So I got to travel a lot in the US, which was really fun. We did a lot with music festivals, did lots of like shows in our different stores with cool artists and all in Fry boots. It was such a fun job. And I'm so grateful for that job because I learned a lot and it gave me the opportunity to kind of like take a brand that was not really a social presence and get to build it from nothing, which is fun.
And it sounds like you were always entrepreneurial before becoming an entrepreneur, right? Because working at Fry, it sounds like you kind of like built that discipline up and you reached out to them and pitched them an idea. So where does this entrepreneurial spirit come from? Do you come from a family of entrepreneurs? Like, were you always quite entrepreneurial?
Yes, I do come from a family of entrepreneurs. My mom and my dad both have always worked for themselves. They've also worked for other people as well, but from what I can kind of remember, they mostly were working for themselves. My Kentucky grandfather, he was a farmer, but he also had an appraising business. He was an auctioneer. He did all kinds of things. So I think it's probably like in my blood, I guess.
Yeah, you kind of grew up with the atmosphere.
Yeah.
So how did you move to the UK?
Yes, that's a great question. So I lived in New York for 5 years, and I worked for Fry for like 3.5, 4 of those years. And I have a British passport. So my dad's from Northern Ireland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He moved to Kentucky when he was in his 20s for horses. So he's like really into horse business and Kentucky's huge for that. So I have a British passport and I was living in New York and I kind of was just at a place where I loved my job. I loved Fry, but I had the passport just kind of like hanging over me. Like, well, what am I doing? Like, well, why am I not using it? So I was already thinking that. I always wanted to move to London. And then I actually met my husband through mutual friends in New York. We met at a bar. And then our first date was a 5-day road trip through England between Christmas and New Year that year. And that could have gone either way. But I had a lot of friends in London already. So I was like, if it goes badly, I'll just go to a friend's house.
That's very brave.
Yeah, it was fun. It was cool. I mean, luckily it worked out. But on the last night of that trip, he was like, so you say you always want to move to London. You do have a British passport. Have you ever tried? Like, have you ever thought about trying to get a job or like just seeing what's out there? And I hadn't really. Like, I'd always talked about it, but never really acted on it. So I went back that January and I was like, you know what? Flights are so cheap in January between London and New York. I'm going to go back to London and I'm going to try to set up meetings with different brands and just see what's out there. And so I Googled like up and coming fashion brands, like emailed a bunch of people again, one person replied to me, Stefan, and I met with Sophia, who was their head of ops. I met with a lot of other friends as well. But yeah, I just got this positive like feeling that a lot of people need what I do here. Yeah, and Stefan ended up being my first client when I moved to London, so that was
that's
cool.
amazing. You
Yeah.
seem to have these moments where like you remember specific people that have helped you along the way, and you do
Yeah, I think
remember
it's so
those
important,
names.
don't you?
Yeah,
Like so
yeah.
many people have helped me, and I hope one day I can help other people as
Yeah,
well
that's
who need help.
incredible. I remember reading one article where you say like networking is key to your success.
So key.
Yeah, can you tell me more about that and
Yeah.
how you network? What are some tips for people who are not great at networking?
Yeah, I think it's hard, I guess, if you're a bit more shy or maybe like don't feel confident. But I think, I mean, doing what I did, just Googling brands and making an Excel sheet of like brand, contact name, email address, LinkedIn, Instagram, you like try every kind of platform to get in touch and just start asking. That's my favorite thing. Like, don't ask, don't get.
What's your opening line?
It depends on what it is, I guess.
Yeah,
I guess
yeah.
if it's someone who wants an opportunity to work with a brand, just reach out and say, hey, I mean, we get this all the time with Amie.
Yeah.
People want to work with us. It's a little, it's harder because we do all of our content and marketing and stuff ourselves. So it's a little trickier to say yes. But I think just if you have an idea, reach out and say, hey, I love your product or your whatever it is. And like, I'd love to do this for you. And just, I think sometimes maybe if you're wanting an opportunity, you might need to offer your service for free at the beginning. Not every time maybe, but just like the fry thing, I wanted in so badly. And it was fun for me. I got boots. I got to go
it's like
shoot
sampling.
some fun content.
You're giving them a sample.
Yeah, if you really, really, really want something, you can maybe give them a little taste of what your like full offering could be. I guess.
Yeah. And because people gave you chances at different points, do you tend to give chances to people when you're hiring people?
I like to, yeah. I don't even look at like where you went to school. I don't care.
I don't look at that either.
Like college,
it doesn't matter.
It's like whatever.
I completely agree.
Yeah, I don't know. I think because I know like I didn't grow up like awfully, no, but like I was pretty like a normal life kid. Like I didn't have a ton of opportunities just thrown in my lap. Like I had to work for it. So I think it's really cool whenever someone applies for a job. I try to do coffees with people. Obviously can't get a coffee with everyone that asks you, but I do try to give that back because people did it with me.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Especially if they show a lot of initiative, like ask multiple times to me, then it's like, okay. Yeah. And it's easy now too because we have our wine bar where we work from for 3 days a week. So I can just say, come here and we can grab a coffee, like 20-minute chat.
Yeah. So persistence is key in reaching out to you.
I think so, but probably with most people.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe
I
not. Maybe that's like pushy American.
No, I agree. Like if someone shows enough interest, I think you have to like notice them, right?
Yeah, I think so. And it shows initiative.
Yeah.
We have a job opening and, it's very clear on the role, like what's required to apply your CV in a paragraph about why this is a good fit for you. Yeah. And it's amazing how many people email and don't even put one thing about why it's a good fit for them. Yeah. Do you find that too?
Yeah. Like, I mean, it's an easy screen, right? If you have loads of applications, like it's easy to screen.
It's so easy because it just shows you're not really trying.
Yeah. Do you like actually care about this job? Yeah. And some people don't even change the name of the company, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a copy and paste.
So like, come on. But I think, the more you show someone you care, like there are a few people who have DM'd us on social and Roden too, like, if you ever have any opportunities, like please let us know. And I like recognize them now.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Like, it's cool. It's cute that they like care enough.
Yeah. And right now you have, how many businesses do you have? 3 or 4?
So yes, when I moved to London, started freelancing, and then it kind of gradually just turned into Roden, which is a marketing agency and a talent agency. So we have 2 divisions now. We have the brand side, so we do social, photography, video, and influencer marketing for brands. And then we have the talent side, which was launched with one of my friends, Lucy Bayless, and that is representing fashion creators here in the UK. So that's Roden. Really fun, like small team of us. And then we have Amie, which I launched with my husband during lockdown in 2020. And a lot of the Roden team kind of like the girls work on Amie as a client as well. So we treat Amie as a client through Roden.
Oh, okay.
But I wouldn't say anyone is like just Roden and not working on, I mean, Lucy, because she's doing talent. But like, I think a lot of them kind of feel like they work at Roden and Amie. Yeah. You know what I mean? When we decided to launch Amie, the wine world was very, it's very traditional, and there wasn't really a direct.
It still is.
It is, yeah. I think there's a few more direct to consumer brands now. But when we launched Abbie, there weren't really any DTC wine brands. In the US, there were a few, but in the UK, there weren't really many, which was cool. So we kind of saw the gap in the market to jump on that.
And what's the inspiration behind it? It was launched during lockdown, wasn't it?
It was, yes. So we were living at home with my husband's family during lockdown in Oxfordshire. My husband, his family are like in the wine business and they have wine shops in Oxford. So Will was helping with deliveries. Like all of a sudden their business was, usually like 99% shop orders. And all of a sudden during COVID, it was like 99% online orders. So all of a sudden it was like, what do we do? How do we do this? And so Will was working every day, like helping his family with the orders and driving around dropping off wine. And he came home one day. He actually texted me. I was working upstairs. He was downstairs. And I thought he was just being lazy, like, come downstairs. I have an idea. I thought he was going to take me on a walk or something, because what else do you do during COVID? And I walked downstairs and I'm like, what's your idea? And he's like, I think we should start a rosé brand. And I was like, okay, like what? How do we do that?
Did he identify a gap in the market for rosé? Is that why? Because his family owned a wine business?
He's been a part of that business since he was like a baby, basically, growing up around it. So they had a lot of contacts that already were making wine. And he was just like, we know people who can make the wine for us. Obviously, we don't have a vineyard. We work with winemakers. So he was like, I think there is an opportunity. In the UK, there wasn't like a cool design-led DTC brand of wine.
A go-to rosé brand for...
Yeah, and that initially we were just rosé. So we're thinking rosé. Like that was what we were thinking. We had no idea that we'd end up having, what we have now. But he saw a gap in the market. And obviously I'm like the marketing and creative side of the brand. So I think he thought that like, we could do it because he's very numbers and business and like analytical and
it's the perfect marriage, right?
Yeah,
you can do all the marketing and sales, and you can do the manufacturing, and he knows all about wine.
It's nice. It's really good. Yeah.
So how did you get started? Like, how many bottles did you have to produce to like, how did you get that name out there? Because it kind of went viral very quickly.
Yeah, it was a really quick turnaround. So we came up with the idea in like April, probably that year. And we launched in June.
Wow.
So it was like a quick turnaround. But again, we already knew exactly who to call, basically. Like we knew if they wanted to help us, people could, like in terms of like sourcing the wine.
Yeah, so you're really leveraging your existing network.
Yeah, which was great. We put like some of our savings together and we were like, let's just try it, I guess. I mean, if you think about it though, because a lot of brands that launch need to like outsource money for photography, for all those like things, but we were really lucky that we could do that ourselves.
Yeah.
We didn't have a business plan. Like we were just like, let's just try one run, which was almost 3,000 bottles. So it sounds, it was a lot to get through. But we thought, let's just try it and see. And because I have the background in marketing, I had a lot of connections with influencers and kind of like tastemakers and people that we could send out to. We had friends help us. Our friend Hermione, we hired her at the beginning to do PR for us. And we have other friends who work in PR who they were like, well, we can send it to this person and that person if you want, like being nice. So a lot of people helped out at the beginning, which is really cool. And then, we sold out of the 3,000 bottles in 6 weeks.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it was cool. It was amazing.
Well done,
but also remember the time. It was COVID. Everyone was at home. You couldn't drink in a pub. It was like a weird time. Like getting something delivered to you that was new and exciting was really fun. So I do think, I'm not going to be too naive to think that maybe if it was a different time, it maybe wouldn't have worked as well. Maybe it would have. I don't know. We'll never know because that's the timing that it was and that's how it happened. But I do think that probably helped. Because we were all stuck at home and everyone was drinking more.
Yeah, and you very much had that social element, right? In your brand.
It was cool. And I think we sent it out to like all of our friends. And then I think, their friends maybe got a bottle or whatever. It just kind of was like word of mouth as well, probably, which is huge. I'm sure like word of mouth is so
absolutely.
important.
Wow. And tell me about the evolution of Abbie wines. Now you've got 2 bars?
So the evolution of Abbie, let's see. So rosé first, our original rosé was what we launched with. And then we launched a red, which is a Carignan and a Sauvignon Blanc that fall. So we had from August until October where we didn't have any product. So nothing to,
Wow.
no one could buy anything from us because we were like, because we didn't know that was going to
Yeah,
happen.
yeah. What did you do in between then to capture that like customer that's coming in? And
To be honest, like not much. We did like a build up, like we have something exciting coming. And when we launched the red and white, it was like really exciting. But between August and October, like, because we didn't really have content of the new, like it was kind of hard to post much. I don't think we posted that much at all. But then once those came, it was like we were more prepared to like
yeah,
be ready in
yeah.
case that happened
I
again.
guess it's a good problem to have, right? And it was your
Yeah,
first
exactly.
launch
And it gave
you
us a bit
sold
more
out.
time. I think maybe we did like a data capture on our website, like we're sold out, enter your email to be the first to know when we're back kind of thing, which always helps. I mean, that makes people want to like be notified. It was a good problem to have, I think. And it gave us a little bit of time to like figure out, okay, so maybe this isn't just a little project. Because at first we thought maybe we'll just do one run and then that's it.
Yeah.
And then the original rosé came back in February that year. And then now we have 6 wines in the range. So we have a Chardonnay, an organic premium rosé as well, which we call Amie X, and a sparkling, which is a Crémant de Limoux. So it's very similar to champagne. It's made in the traditional style.
Are they all from different vineyards or from the same vineyard?
They're from different winemakers, but they're all from France.
Yeah.
And then the wine bar. So that was supposed to be a 3-month project, and that opened in 2022.
Last year you also opened in Seoul, didn't you?
We did, yes.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yes. So Seoul was amazing. So Amie Wine Studio in Belgravia was a 3-month pop-up, and then we decided, you know what, it was available to keep. So we were like, let's just keep it. I think we can do it. It was scary, but we were like, let's just keep it on. And then Amie Wine Studio Seoul opened last June, which was super exciting. Our Korean importer found us on Instagram in 2020, and she cold emailed Will and said that she'd love to import our wines. And it seemed kind of like, how did she find us? Like, where did this come from? But then we had a call with her, and she was amazing. We love her. She's great. And Will was like, you know what? If you want to like buy some wine, that's fine. If you don't mind to just pay for it up front, so we can just like see if you even like it. It's all paid for. It's coming for you. And we sent her some samples, and then she placed an order, which was cool. And she's been importing our wine ever since, and she's gotten us into over 500 bars and restaurants.
Oh, wow.
So she's been amazing. So Amie Wine Studio Seoul is a franchise.
Yeah, so she's running it.
Yes. So we met her finally for the first time in, I guess it was the beginning of last year.
Yeah, last year when you contacted me. Right?
Yeah.
And I was so excited to see you opening in Seoul, because that's where I'm from, obviously.
Seoul is so cool.
Yeah. It's also in a very cool area. It's in Samcheongdong or Hyojaedong, right?
Yeah, you're doing way better at saying that than me. So it was really fun too, because we still were like a part of the whole creative process of putting, the design of the wine studio there. They came over to England, and we went antiquing and got all the furniture.
Oh, so fun.
Which was so fun. So a lot of it's antiques that they got here with us together. We're picking things out. The fabric on all of the chairs is Fermoy, or like anything that had to be reupholstered, Fermoy fabrics. So they wanted like English kind of furniture and fabrics, and it's really cool. We went to Seoul in June, and it was so cool. We like pulled around the corner, and I saw this Amie flag hanging on this building, and I started bawling. I was like, oh my God, it was so cool.
Aww.
It was so special.
Yeah,
it was
that's
just like,
so sweet.
Wow, like it just felt like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. So was Seoul quite opportunistic based on this distributor contacting you, or was that like always on the roadmap for you?
Oh, totally. Like,
yeah, because it's a
her
small
reaching out
market,
to
right?
us.
Like people will instantly think like China or Japan, not Korea.
But Korea, I think, I mean, I don't have all the stats like in front of me, but I know that the wine market there has been booming in the last 5 years.
Yeah, and it's a very sophisticated market in terms of lifestyle, fashion, and everything.
And I think they love kind of like that minimal design, and they just like love branding, I think. So I think that to them is probably one reason maybe why they like Amie is the branding. But also I think, correct me if I'm wrong, you probably know better, but I'm pretty sure in 2020 the government changed the online alcohol sales laws.
Oh, I have no idea.
I think that's what happened. So I think there was a huge spike in online orders and online shopping for wine. So I'm assuming Claire's timing was really like aligned with that, because she reached out to us in 2020.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that's probably why.
Because I know historically it's been a heavily regulated, I guess, like category.
Yeah.
As within any other country, right?
Yeah.
We were
I
talking
love
about
it
this
there.
earlier.
I really want to go back. It's
Yeah,
such a
you
cool
should.
place.
We should go together.
I know,
And we can
we
do some
should.
welding, and I don't know whether we can do piercing.
Do a fun
there, but,
event,
do an event there.
Yeah, it'd be
I
cool.
love that. So what's been the biggest challenge while running Ammie running your Roden studio? Like, tell me everything.
I feel lucky that nothing stands out as like a huge, oh my gosh, this is like horrific. There have been little things along the way. For example, we got an opportunity for one of the like, like a retailer that's like one of the like in 10 minutes kind of retail, that you check out on your phone and it's with you in like 15 minutes. They wanted to take a pretty big order and it was like ready to go. We're like shipping it out. They needed it by a certain date and time. They contacted us and they were like, none of the bottles have barcodes on them. And because we're so like, we had never worked in food and beverage before. We had no idea that all the other like people that had taken us so far didn't need barcodes and never even mentioned barcodes. So we were like, okay.
Yeah, why would you even think about barcodes,
Never
right?
even crossed our minds. So that was a challenge. I think that was like a stressful moment where we were like, what do we do? Are we going to lose this opportunity? And actually, we ended up having to unpack all the bottles, put barcodes on ourselves, and then repack them all. And it ended up being fine, but it was just... that was like something that stands out as like oh no.
That's a good story.
It's cool though because you learn as you go, and I think people sometimes think founders are like they know everything, and like
I don't think that's what people think.
I don't know.
They think founders are crazy.
Maybe as a younger person.
Yes.
Because I remember when I was young. Yeah, maybe not now. Maybe not when you're older. I think whenever I was younger, I always would look at brands and like people who had businesses and companies and think, wow, like they must know everything, and that's probably why you get nervous when you interview and stuff. And like now I think if I had to go to an interview, I don't know, it depends on who it's with, I guess, but I wouldn't feel how I used to feel about it because I know that everyone's just human and like we're all learning.
Yeah, and I think the perception has changed a little bit, and how like leaders or founders carry themselves. Before it was more like perfection and you have to be like super aspirational and you have to be glossy. Now people don't like that.
No,
people
it's more authentic now. And
people
it's
want to see you as a person.
Yeah, I think it's nice to kind of just be vulnerable as well. And just like, I don't know the answer.
Yeah, we're not robots.
That's how I am with wine. Like I'm not a wine expert. I'll never try to be a wine expert. Will is good at wine. He says he's not a wine expert either. But he's the wine guy, and I'm learning. Every day I learn, but I'm not this person who knows everything about wine. So it's, every day you're learning new things, which is fun. It's cool.
How do you balance being, romantic partners and business partners?
It's funny. I was talking to Liv, who's the co-founder of Trip. Her and her husband founded Trip. And we were talking about this, and we were like both saying how we love it because you always have something to talk about. Like, you try not to talk about work, but then sometimes if it's like when you get good ideas, it's like so fun because you sit there and you're like minds are going and you're like thinking of all this cool stuff.
Do you think alike generally, or do you think completely differently?
I mean, I'm definitely more creative, but Will's quite creative. Like he's still like he's not like not creative. Like he still has good marketing ideas and stuff. I'm not good at numbers though, so you can definitely take that one. I'm more like marketing ideas and marketing focus, which means probably budget sometimes. And then he's more like that doesn't make sense for our business. If you know what I mean, which sometimes can be a bit like
you need that balance, don't you?
And so if I was on my own, maybe I make decisions that maybe weren't financially right for the business. I think we're really lucky that we have each other because we can kind of take parts of the business that otherwise we'd have to outsource.
Yeah, that's so good.
Yeah.
And like you're running multiples of businesses. How do you manage all of that? Do you have like clear split in your head how much time you spend on one business and the other, or is it all interlinked?
No, I don't have that. No, I don't really have that. I mean, I guess if I'm on a shoot one day for a brand, then I know that day is probably dedicated to that shoot. I'll think ahead. Like I usually look at my calendar and think, okay, next week I'm on a full day shoot or I'm on a half day shoot. So if I need to get this done for something else, I'll get it done before, just make sure it's done. But I don't have like dedicated day, Monday is Ammie, then the next, like I don't really do it like that. I've tried to be better at prioritizing every day. So I just do like what overall do I need to get done first? Kind of thing. Like what's the most timely. And then also our team. I mean, I think having a team, I'm sure you know, it's so important.
It's
to have
transformative.
People. It is. We hired Olivia, our employee, our first employee in October 2020, but that was mainly for Roden. Now she's our head of marketing for Amie. So she's like across all Roden. She's like my like second hand basically. Like as soon as we hired her for Roden, I was like, oh my gosh, like then I could focus a little bit more on Amie. And now it's like having, Lucy is running Roden Talent, and Will, our team at Amie Wine Studio are running the studio, so we can go away on vacation and not have to stress because we trust them to just like do things, which is so nice.
How did you find these people? What did you look for? Because these are very early, kind of very early stage employees, right?
Yeah,
who need to do everything.
Well, Lucy's my friend, so that was for Roden Talent. She worked in talent management for 8 years, and she was like, I'm done with the big agencies. Should we just start a talent division of Roden? And we were like, yeah, let's do it. Let's try it. So that's how I found Lucy from being friends. And then Olivia, I found her on Fashion Worky, or she found us. It's funny because when we were interviewing, she was definitely more like, I felt the Will kind of person, like analytical numbers. I was leaning towards more like a creative and like content focused. And Will was like, I think you need to hire this person. And I'm so glad that we did because honestly, she's incredible. Again, like what we were talking about earlier, look for people who have initiative, who are showing that they actually care about the companies as well, I think is big, because you'd never want someone around that doesn't really care.
No, you can't afford that, especially in the early stage, right?
And people who are excited about it.
Yeah.
I think that's key. Like some people might want to be around just because they need a job, but it's really nice when people are excited and they like love what they're doing and love who they're working with and what they're working on, which is nice.
They love the fact that they're making an impact, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like Alex, he manages Amie Wine Studio. Every Google review about Amie Wine Studio is how amazing Alex is, and it's just like it's such a nice feeling to know that like everyone's in good hands when they go. And honestly, knock on wood, I don't think I've ever had negative feedback about him. Yeah. He's amazing. So it's just like, and we feel so lucky to have someone running it that people love, and he's so good and he's so kind and just like engaging with customers.
Yeah, that sounds so nice.
Yeah,
you've got a dream team.
Yeah, it's good. It's cool.
What's next for all of your businesses?
We just hired a sales director, which is really exciting. We're in a few bars and restaurants now, but his role is to basically get us out there. We thought about hiring someone for this role for a while, and I'm glad we waited because I think Fred is the perfect fit. So that's great. That's really exciting. And yeah, I think it's just having fun with it and growing it and see how it goes. I feel like Amie is my baby and Roden. Like I can't imagine life without them really. Right now, when I think about life, I can't imagine that, but we'll just see how it goes, I guess. It's so fun. I mean, I love it. I think
that's really exciting.
Keeping it exciting and growing and scaling.
And what's your personal vision? Do you want to, I guess, start a family, or do you want to start other brands?
Yeah, we definitely would love to start a family. And I think, who knows, other brands, I'm sure. I mean, this brain doesn't stop. So I'm sure there'll be some more ideas. Sometimes I'm like, can you just stop for a second? Because it's like constant. I'm sure you know. So I think it's kind of hard to think past Amie and Roden right now because they are what takes up so much of our attention. But one day, I'm sure I would love to do other brands, and who knows what category as well, which is fun. But personally, I definitely want to start a family. I actually did my first hypnosis class or session last night. Hypnotherapy.
Oh, hypnotherapy.
I'm very claustrophobic. So I've heard it's amazing. Let's see how it goes. I don't know.
Good luck. Let me know how it goes.
Yeah, but I think tackling that claustrophobia would be a big thing for me.
I need to tackle my pigeon phobia.
Oh, really?
I'm like terrified of pigeons.
Like actually big phobia.
Yeah, big phobia. And just birds in general, but pigeon in particular.
Well, you should try.
Try hypnosis. How it goes. Yeah,
I've got a girl. I think I do have really bad anxiety. Actually, I struggle with it a lot, and panic attacks, which I try to avoid at all costs if I can. But I think trying to just work on that a little bit more. I've started to do like a bit of a routine this year, which I never was really a routine person. I always thought, how does anyone have time for that? But it's actually been amazing. Like just doing a bit of self-care time in the morning. I get up earlier. I'm getting up at 6 instead of 7, and just giving myself an hour to try not to look at my phone and just do like some me time.
Yeah, it takes a lot of discipline though, not to look at you, especially like if you're in social.
I know. I keep my phone on airplane mode when I go to bed, so that I don't have like a bunch of notifications, and I just try to like not look at it, not turn it
Yeah.
off airplane mode until
Wow,
I've
that's
done
really
this.
good self-discipline.
It's cool. Yeah, I never thought I could do it, but actually, it's been good.
Yeah.
So far, so good, and
Yeah.
25 days straight. So
Oh, great.
Let's see if we
yeah,
can keep
good
it
for
up.
you. And what do you do during that 1 hour?
I get my hot water bottle ready, so turn the kettle on. And then I journal for like 15 to 20 minutes.
Oh, I
It
love
depends
that.
on like the timing. If I have a little bit of extra time, I might read, I start saying like a day book, or like a morning book and an evening book. Like evening book's a nice novel or something, but morning book is more like a more inspirational kind of book. So maybe read a chapter of one of those and do that first, and then kind of write about maybe how that can apply to me. Or
Yeah.
our businesses or our life. That's really been nice. Sometimes it's just like, this is what was positive yesterday because I don't know what else to say.
Yeah.
And just try to
But
think
that's
of,
also
like,
important.
it is, yeah. I think because some days can feel pretty like, oh, that was kind of boring day.
Yeah.
But if you just try to think of like, oh, well, the sun came out, that was nice. And I had a nice whatever for dinner, and kind of helps you just make things more positive that you wouldn't have thought about. And then I do a 10-minute calm meditation. They do like the daily calm, they call it. It's really quick, and it's just nice, and they always have like a nice lesson. I do that, and then I will do some either just like stretch for 5 minutes, or if I have time, I'll do a Melissa Wood health like 20-minute kind of class. Ideally would go to a class, but sometimes it's kind of hard to go to one and fit it in. So that's what I usually do.
Yeah, I love that.
It's nice. I actually never thought I was a kind of girl like that, but I feel like it's really been helpful. It's been cool.
Yeah, that's cool. What's one advice you'd give a very early stage entrepreneur?
Well, network, like we talked about earlier. I think networking is key. Most people in my life I've met through networking, even my husband. I mean, I met him through friends of friends. Like, I think you never know how someone might impact you later. When I'm traveling, if I meet someone and I have a connection with them just from like chatting to them and we're staying at the same hotel or like sitting next to them at dinner, if we have a nice connection and we've like kind of hit it off and talked for a minute, I'll be like, well, let's connect on Instagram, because you never know if I'll be in Amsterdam or like wherever we can get a coffee. If you're an entrepreneur or starting a new business, and you just never know how people might help you, and if you might need someone to do a shoot for you later, maybe you can like offer them something in exchange if you don't have a huge budget, and just kind of try to make it work as you're growing. And then my other thing for, I guess, people starting off is the don't ask, don't get, because you just don't know who will help you, or you don't know if you want to partner with a brand or do this or do that. Just ask them, because they might say yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Shall we move on to some lifestyle quickfires?
Yeah.
Since you're a lifestyle guru.
I don't know about that.
What can one do to slightly elevate their brand?
Get good social. Yeah, I think actually that is key. I think the way your brand looks when you look at an Instagram is very, very important. A lot of people will tell you that doesn't matter because who's looking at your profile, but that's not true, because people land on your brand all the time. And if it doesn't look elevated and amazing, I don't think it's that inspiring for someone to follow it and like follow the journey. So I do think Instagram and how it looks is really important.
How do you pick your perfect wine?
Ooh, that's hard. It depends on the day, I think.
Yeah, it's a very like broad question, isn't it?
Yeah, it depends on the day. I like
Yeah.
them all for different occasions.
Yeah. So how do you pick your wine?
Well, I'm only drinking Amie wines for this question. right?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I
Of
think-
course.
Yeah, no, I'm kidding. But I think it does depend on the occasion. Obviously, if it's summer and like you're on holiday, maybe a nice cold rosé sounds amazing. Or yeah, I think if you're cozying up in a cabin, a nice
Yeah.
glass of red. I'm not too picky actually with wine, I don't think. I know what I like to taste and I know what I don't like to taste. And
Yeah.
I'll try everything.
Yeah. I'm the same. I
Yeah.
don't even know what they're called.
Yeah,
My husband
exactly.
like
Me
brings
neither.
it to me, and then I'm like, I like this, and then he orders the same thing for me.
Yeah, Will loves to try to trick me and do like taste tests. It's fun. It's cool. It's fun to try new wines.
Yeah,
Definitely.
absolutely. You're such a lifestyle guru, so I'm going to ask you, what are your top 3 hotspots in London?
So the Barbary, I love the Barbary. I tell everyone visiting to go there. It's really cool.
I love it too.
It's like bar seating around, and you can like watch them cook. It's amazing. Probably good with like one other person. I think it might be tricky for a group, but it's great. And then Dorian and Notting Hill is close to, we live in like Notting Hill, so it's great. Kind of hard to get a reservation, but really, really good. Same people that own Supermarket of Dreams and Notting Hill Fish Shop. And then our local is 6 Portland Road in Holland Park. It is like the cutest place on the planet. They stock Amie as well. And that's not why it's one of my favorites. But it's like a neighborhood restaurant. It's not like gonna be on all the trendy restaurant lists, but like the food is absolutely delicious.
But those are the best ones, right?
Yeah, it's not like trying to be on every like PR list, basically. I think the food is amazing, the service is amazing, it's so cozy. It's always like a great atmosphere. It's really, really good.
So what's your favorite spot in Seoul?
Well, obviously, Abbie Wine Studio, Seoul. I mean, to be honest, I didn't have enough time there to explore a bunch of restaurants. We were so busy. But there was one place around the corner from Abbie Wine Studio called Pleats Mama. It's a brand that has a shop around the corner, and it's handbags made from used plastic bottles.
Oh, incredible.
And it was a really cool brand, and they had an amazing shop. That was like one brand that stood out to me when we were there.
Well, thank you so much, Abbie. That was so fun.
It was so fun. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to follow the podcast wherever you're listening or watching. You can follow me at Connie Nam, Astrid and Miyu at Astrid and Miyu, and Unboxed Instagram page at unboxed_founder confidential. See you next week.